13 Questions by Man Transcending. Manhood in the Digital Age.
All right, everybody. We're back with another episode with Dr. Zac Williams. This is a little shorter of an episode. We didn't do the bonus questions, but yeah, that's all right. We do have some other interesting show news to announce that we are going down to one feed as of the release of this episode. This will be the last one going out to both feeds. And then I believe in about a week or so after the release, we're going to get rid of one of them, I think the members feed currently, and go with the move everything over to the current, the free feed that's not on Discord. I think that's how that works, right, Adam? You know more about this stuff than I do.
Yeah, that's essentially, we're just basically, because we're looking at the downloads, and, we're not trying to wall anything in. We're just trying to harbor, I don't know what you call it. We're trying to, we're just trying to get people more participatory. And that's just not happening on the members feed. And it kind of makes sense. It's complicated. It's an extra step. You've already got one feed. You're already listening to the majority of the podcast. It already seems complete. And it is. It's built as a complete product, but it's really only half of, the show. So, we're just opening it up to everybody. And that will just be on the one feed. I think we'll probably do something in that second feed to kind of notify people if they open up their pod player later on and find it. They'll have, a little link to get them going for a short moment. In time, we will kill that feed off. Otherwise, it's just an extra expense on the show. But you'll have plenty of time to switch on over to the full feed and get everything exactly the same, but with another piece of episode art.
Yeah, so that's cool. Everybody gets, well, because we wanted I know this episode doesn't have the bonus questions section, but I think it's super neat to open it up to everybody and just, put the bonus questions out there for free without putting that extra step in there, because there's a lot of great content, I think, that have been, discussed in that section of the show. And, I just want everybody to be able to have access to it, as much as possible. So yeah, that's super, super exciting. And then,
I'm super, I love seeing this thing grow and change and get better, and, us, kind of slipstream into, the things that work and the ways that work. And I don't know, this feels right. This feels like, it feels like something we should have done day one. And I'm kind of glad that we're there.
Yeah. Watching the show grow and evolve is super fun. And we want all you guys to be a part of it. So please join us, share the show. We need more to reach more people. So yeah, please share the show. And you can also support the show with our Shungite affiliate link. If you heard the Derek Condit episode, which is the one right before this, that's his store, and we're affiliated with that now. If you click the link and buy something from him, we get 10% back. So that's just something that we wanted to offer you, because I use the Shungite. Adam uses the Shungite. We think it's great, so we wanted to share that. So that's another way for you to support the show. And then also stickers. We have stickers on the way. So just another way to support the show.
Sweet. I'm glad to hear that. I saw some of the designs. I didn't realize that they were now in the pipeline.
Yes, that's being added to the website very soon. And,
look, if you just want to support the show and help out with what we're doing, we're not quite covering all of our expenses at this point, which is fine. This is a labor of love, but make this thing better. You are part of the show. Obviously, we're not here without the listeners. This is a listener driven thing. If there was nobody here listening, if you guys weren't out there, if we didn't see the numbers and you here and you coming, we wouldn't continue doing this. But we do need your support because, like all good things, there's time, energy, and money that goes into that. So support the show if you can. This is value for value. That's all we ask. Whatever you find value in, send that our way. And feedback. Love feedback. Love to hear from you. Love to hear anybody that you would like to hear on the show. Suggestions, guests. So yeah, find us in the Discord.
Yeah, Discord. We are still there. I know that Gramerica recently moved off of Discord. They're on their own private Mattermost chat server, which is awesome. But yeah, you can find us on Discord. You can find us on Telegram. We have a Telegram account that isn't too active, but it's just another option for you to reach the show. And then, of course, we have the email, which is 13questionspodcast@gmail.com. And then we also have a Gab account that I'm kind of experimenting with and just posting memes on. And people are following the show, so it's working.
Yeah, if you have any questions or anything, or want to reach out or just say hi, just ping us in the app. Send us a message. Chances are, if my phone is sitting next to me and alerting, I'll probably respond.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I guess that kind of ties into my gratitude for this episode. Jingle is here. We were just waiting for the right moment to debut it. So with that said, my gratitude is just these alternative options for media for communities. Like Gramerica just did the Mattermost thing, which is neat. We still have the Discord, and then Telegram is like a big thing that's been popping up recently. A lot of people have been moving off of Twitter and Facebook. I deleted those two show accounts, so I don't know. I'm just grateful that there's other platforms to move to, and that we're not 100% censored. So I don't know. That's just kind of what I've been thinking about, and I'm just glad that they're there and available still. And we're not all forced to use YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. There's other options out there.
No, there's other options. There's other things coming. I'm getting really into podcasting 2.0 and some of the infrastructure going on behind the scenes there with micro payments going to podcasters. And one of the most interesting things about that is that they're using these lightning nodes with a Zeroshi crypto coin, but the nodes themselves have a base built-in system of chat that is, baked in, and they're all intercommunicatable and talkable to each other. And I just found that to be just so stinking cool. And so, yeah, there are other ways in networks and things going on, and it's an exciting time. So, yeah, we don't need to rely on the big corporations to hold our message. Right here, we have an RSS feed. Right, I will make sure that we control that, and as long as that RSS feed is out there and available for you to snag and put into an application, a player, then you're still going to be able to get us and get in communication with us. But if you're relying on MailChimp or any other service, you could get deplatformed. You could say the wrong thing. We could have the wrong guest on. So I think we're in a good place for at least, you having access to the RSS feed and our show notes. But yeah, in the future, obviously if we had the funds, it would be great to be able to do what the Grimerica boys are doing, where they are getting everything hosted on their own, completely separate, and doing all these things. So it would be virtually impossible to, pull them off of the internet. So, as we're now, it's just, a company can decide that you're just, you're not the right type for the brand.
Yeah. So that's why it's important to support the creators that you find value from.
Exactly. Yeah. If the mom and pop shop goes out of, business that's down the street, but you never stopped and went to that mom and pop shop, well, guess what? If you'd gone there, maybe they'd be open, because if everybody went there, they would be. That's how I like to spend my money. There's a few places that I always stop into. Like there's a dollar store that's owned by this really wonderful little family, but probably every 3 or 4 months I'll go in and spend like $10, because there are things there that I can use and need, and a lot of the remote viewing, stuff I get there that I've done for some of the projects I've had, but I like to think of that as my way of paying it forward. Like if I enjoy this experience, I want it to persist. It's the selfish reason why I support Ryan and send him money for Arcade High. I love his music so much that I'm super selfish and I want to hear more. And the only way that that's going to happen is if he can become a musician full time. So it's like I have this secondary, selfish singular goal on. So I'm rambling, Bill. You're supposed to dig me out and save me.
Well, I was going to ask if the crypto thing was your gratitude, like setting.
Oh my God. No. My gratitude is people. Very synchronistically at work, we needed a good quality person.
Okay.
We're just getting way too busy and crazy, and that person, look, it was a very good day. I'm very happy with how things went, and it's just wonderful when people just mesh and work together well. And I don't know, there's something about just that interaction between people who have a similar goal. Yeah, we're here to make money, we're here to sell stuff, we're here to, be able to put food on our plates and, hopefully progress and get a little bit further in life. But there's more to it than that. You're on a team and you're completing something. When you just feel that mesh, and I don't know, it's nice to be around a group of motivated individuals. So I don't know what my gratitude is in that, but it's people, man. It's just being able to.
Yeah, it's the connection of the feeling of being a part of a group that all has the same intention, whether it's getting X, Y, or Z task completed for the day because that's your job, or if you're out in the forest looking for Bigfoot, everybody's vibing on that same level.
Yeah.
So, acting with intention. That's something that Zach talks about a little bit at the end of the interview. So, I guess we'll just I don't know, unless you got anything else, Adam. I guess we'll roll into the interview, into the show.
Yeah. Contact us, 13questionspodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up in the Discord, 13questionspodcast.com, if you would like to support the show. And obviously head to the website also for the affiliate link. And that's it, man. Let's go. Let's dive into the show, bro.
Awesome. Let's do it.
All right. You ready to jump in?
Yes, sir.
Sweet. Question number 1. What was the best advice ever given to you? And would you modify it at all today?
So that's, I go to a lot of different medical seminars and things like that on both current science and health and communication. And the one thing that there's an easy answer when I saw this question is people don't remember what you say, and people rarely remember what you do, but people always remember how you made them feel when you said or you did it. And so it's like, people like to communicate heart to heart, and we're, from a medical standpoint, physiologically, we're just energy. So the difference between dead and living is energy. The difference between sick and healthy is function and energy. And so that's why we choose to be around people that make us feel a certain way, and we choose to not be around people that make us feel suboptimal. And so that's definitely, I try and use that both in the professional setting, more often more so in the social setting. I mean, when you start to communicate to people heart to heart rather than head to head, that's kind of how things really operate pretty well in my experience.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. Doctor-patient relationship, there's a trust. I know there's been studies done that, the procedure you're getting done, what's most important is the one that you believe is going to work. So there's this huge relationship between your doctor that facilitates so many other things in the healing process aside from the actual medicine that's being dished out. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing that you embrace and see that so many professionals, healthcare professionals, just don't.
Yeah. It's I like to, I like to build rapport. That's the most important thing, and yeah, that's one of the things that I've really noticed, and I see it when I encounter, friends, physicians, anyone really. Like, good energy is what you want to be around, who you want to vibe with, and bad energy you simply don't.
Yeah, and I love that, thinking on that level of how, just keeping in mind how you're making other people feel when you're communicating to them. Because I find that interesting, because there's a theory of like what happens after you die, right? It's you get to experience your life, but from the perspective of how you made others feel based off of like your interactions with them. So the fact that you brought that up in question one, I think, is pretty cool.
Very much so. What was the most important lesson you learned from your parents?
So for that one, actions speak louder than words. We say we would do anything for the ones we love, but the daily, bearing the cross and actually doing that, you know, from being tight on money, right? That's the easy one. But one thing that they always did was they always defended us. So, like, when my older brother and I were young, my dad sat us down, and he goes, "All right, guys, at school, if you ever see someone picking on your brother or one of your friends or even someone you don't know, then you need to insert yourself into that situation and end it in a way that the bully doesn't want to bully anyone ever again. And if you get in trouble, I'll come down to school and I'll get in trouble with you." And
Nice.
believe it or not, that happened pretty often. So not only did they say it and empower us, but they lived it. You know what I mean?
No, that's beautiful. I love that. Too many parents are anti-conflict instead of realizing that, if you're that way, then yeah, the world becomes just filled with bullies.
That's right, man. Especially today, there's a lot of moving parts, and now's the time to stand up for what you believe in, whatever that is. This is a very testing time, and I feel like I'm able to do that more naturally and confidently because of how I was instilled and raised as a kid.
Nice.
Yeah, and it just seems so much easier to be bullied now that, social media and everything. So
100%, man. Yeah, it's that's crazy. The cyberbullying. I mean, whoever saw that coming, right? And based on the research, high school kids today are more stressed than psychiatric patients back in the 70s.
Wow.
It's nuts, man. There's so much pressure in the cyber stuff, social media, who liked what picture, who's following who, how many likes did I get? It's just like it messes with your coconut, man. It really does, and especially these kids that appearance, they want to appear to be a certain way, especially on social media. It's always the golden nuggets of what they want people to see, perceive them as. And yeah, especially with the cyber stuff, it's crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Do you see any of that bleeding through into your practice? Increased stress levels and, associated.
100%. 100%. Yeah. Big time. Yeah. And I treat, people of all ages, and definitely young girls, especially, and body image and things like that. Kids are mean, man. Not to, vilify anybody, but I mean, I guess they're not any more mean than they were when we were kids, but it's just like,
well, when you
as
were
your brain's developing.
Yeah. When you were a kid, you could see the bullies, so if your children are connected to social media, they're getting the bullying, but there's no one to defend against. It's just a name. It's information flowing in. It's, do you accept it or do you not? So if you don't even know if they're being bombarded with it, how do you defend the enemy?
Right. You can't. You're defenseless, which is like, I have a 7-week-old daughter, and that's like already like my biggest nightmare. Is like, defending is 100% of the game, and to feel like you can't, or certain situations where you can't, that's horrifying. So it stresses kids out. It stresses parents out. Social media, there's that on Netflix. There's some type of series that came out about social media, or an episode.
Social Dilemma. The Social Dilemma.
Yeah, I want to check that out. I haven't been able to see it yet. But this stuff affects our brains, man. And it's instant gratification. So just like video games or being on your phone, that type of thing, it stimulates a part of your brain that heroin does, and sugar, it's instant gratification. And so it's very addicting stuff. And when you get people on there that kind of know what they're doing and how it affects people, to get more data usage, more, that's a hairy situation.
And it's even in the names of the apps now. I mean, think of Instagram. Like,
right.
What gram of what? The first hit's always free until you're
right.
hooked.
Right. Instant.
Never even thought
Here,
about
now.
that. Bouncing back to the neurolinguistics there, Bill.
Yeah.
Can't get away from it.
But yeah, on the flip side of that, I think that, excuse me, the internet makes it easier to bully, but I think that it can also be used for good. And I think one of the things I've talked about before on this show is the duality of internet. 13 is a number of dualities. So my hope is, like, with this, projects like this show, is that we can interject some positivity into situations like that if, the youth decides to listen to.
For sure. Yeah, man. Definitely.
Well, it doesn't make it easier to bully, but it also makes it easier to stop, right? Kids aren't going out to the playground. So if you unplug the social media, okay, you're free from that anchor.
Right. It's heavy. It's a heavy one too. It's unlike anything that we experienced as kids, really. It's a new beast.
Truly. What book has been most influential on your life, and why?
So that was definitely the Bible. I'm not a very religious person, but I'm a man of spirituality and faith, and I try and start most days. I got the Bible app on my phone and take a look at the verse of the day. And a lot of these millionaire mindset books that I read and these seminars that I go to of these successful people, they all have different habits that they do every day. And one of them is meditating. So doesn't mean you have to, be speaking to God or Allah or the Bible or Quran or whatever, nothing, energy, as long as you're spending time with, becoming in tune with yourself, as hippie and cliche as that may sound. It's what all the millionaires do. They take the first thing they do when they wake up. What do you guys do? The first thing when you wake up, what do you guys do?
I sit on the couch, turn on the TV, grab something to drink, smoke, spend the next 2 hours waking up.
Yeah, for me, it's the exact opposite.
How's yours, Bill?
Yeah, I'm pretty much basic. I'm on the computer all day, every day. And then after work, my hobby is podcasting. So there you go.
Right on. Like for me, my first thing I want to do when I wake up, boom, check my phone. So, who texted me, what happened on Facebook, emails. The first thing we want to do is get plugged into something that's not even in the room. And so per these, millionaire mindset books and success books, taking even just 5 minutes, they suggest just getting right with yourself. A good example is Muhammad Ali. They asked him, like, how are you so successful? Why do you win all the time? And he said he visualizes him winning before he even walks into the ring. So, if you got a big meeting, or you got confrontation with a coworker, or you got to see someone that, come across a certain dealing, a business, if you visualize you being successful in that moment before you get there, you'll be surprised how successful you become. And not like I'm some success, guru, but that's just from what I read and what I see. And when you start to apply it,
well, it makes sense, right?
your life,
you have like
right?
Olympic athletes that are doing training while they're, visualization training while they're dreaming and in dream states. They're going over this. So if you're improving your physical skill, why couldn't you improve other things? Like, it might not just be as a pattern, building as we think. There might be something more to improving the process.
100%, man. Yeah, it's, you visualize it, and things just tend to click and go smoother. And exactly, that's perfect. Olympic athletes, they spend all this time training for like 40 seconds, right? And then the next 4 years they're training and they're seeing and they're visualizing and they're dreaming. That's good. Yeah, you see it, and then you do it. And so that's funny, because I think that's the next question.
What daily habits or rituals do you have?
Yeah. So I covered 1.5 there. I've mentioned the verse of the day, and just being just kind of getting my mind right, with prayer or whatever. But I mentioned that my daughter Layla is 7 weeks old, and so I've started a new habit. And I live about 10 minutes from the clinic, so every day I come home for lunch. Nice. And I come home after work, so I get to see her, But every shift I have my wife send me a picture or two and a video. So that's the newest habit that I've added to my regiment.
That's a good habit.
Yeah.
I mean, you could be checking your phone for what, Twitter notifications. No, it's for family.
Exactly, man. Yeah, another thing that, I was taught to do as a kid is something that my dad always said to us. He always told us that he loved us, and he always told us he was proud of us. And you never know if people are hearing that. I was lucky to have a good relationship with my dad. A lot of people can't say that. And so you don't know what demons people are dealing with. And so a habit I try and do every day is just kind of positively affirm people, Every chance I get, if it's a friend or a family, if they do something I'm proud of them for, I'll tell them that, because you don't know if or where they're hearing that from. So every day I try and tell my wife and my son Dylan and my daughter Layla that I love them, and I try and give them a hug every day. So those are a couple of things that I try and make a daily habit of.
A positive reinforcement is huge. I think that's probably not something people hear a lot of in their day-to-day life.
How can you? It's if it bleeds, it leads. So you're kind of built into the opposite.
Yeah, and it's, like I mentioned, we're all dealing with demons, right? Everyone is. There's no one that's not. And so, you can either feed the positive vibes, like I mentioned, or you can feed the negative ones. And the more we just, good things happen when you start just building people up around you, because confidence is contagious, and so is the lack of it. And the more, we're made to go through life with friends, with a group of people, not by ourselves. We're supposed to build each other up, and people either do or they don't,
Well said. If I were to ask your best friend, what is the one thing they would say you need to work on the most, and why?
It's funny how I keep walking into the next question with the previous.
That's not a bad thing.
It's great. It's great show structure. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Please keep leading the witness.
I was built for this. No, I'm just kidding. Definitely patience. Being fused. Patience is just something that I've always needed to deal with, from getting through math homework to standing in line to, dealing with people in the grocery line at the store. Uh, that's something that I've definitely my weakness. And it's something that, like I mentioned, people are dealing with demons. And so I don't know what kind of day someone's having. I can be a little bit more patient. That's definitely my flaw.
Yeah, I think everybody can probably attest to that one, especially in this, super hectic, fast-paced world.
Right. Here and now, instant, right? Fast food, Instagram. We're all pretty in our own worlds and on the go. That's right.
Yeah, patience is a virtue. It's not one of the 4 cardinal ones, but it's like one of the, pretty close second, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, and I think about like people that have poured into my life, from friends of the family to, relatives or friends. And the ones that I've really connected with are the ones that accept me for where I'm at and don't expect me to be a certain speed or a certain way. They show me a lot of patience, and I'm like, wow, I see how that makes me feel. And so that's something that we could all really benefit from.
Oh, it's beautiful, right? We all want to grow and become better human beings. So where are you on that scale, and where can you go? It's limitless where
Right.
you can go, and you could be anywhere on the scale. So, to see the good in a person and help them bring out the best in them and have them do the same in you, it's so crappy when, it's the thing about social media that sucks is there's so many teams and there's so many labels and everybody has to pick one, that the nuance of who a human being is. It used to be, oh, that's Joe, he's crazy. Oh, he believes in this. Oh, well, Joe does this. He's kind of weird. Maybe keep your girlfriend away from whatever weird, thing. It's just like, well, we would accept those things because you knew them as a human being and you saw that flaw. And I don't know, I guess I'm older now, so I'm still from the pre-internet, had to go to the library age. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping that this new generation, as they age, maybe we'll see the perspective that I see. I'm hoping it's not tied to my old worldview. I hope it's just tied to an age perspective view of the world.
Right.
If not, we're
Yeah, I
screwed.
can agreed on both counts.
And that is actually, it's not really a bad thing to want to work on. Being, if you're dealing with the public every day, which you are, then every interaction is like, a chance to work on that. And dude, I know it's tough because I was a teller for 8 years, and dealing with the public plus their finances, it can be challenging. So
Yeah.
patience, heard.
Definitely, man. It's and especially with what I do, um, it's not like going to, your medical physician once a year, twice a year, It's like people are seeing me regularly and they're coming in to get better and for a good experience. And so I've definitely gotten better at that. And each day I try and get better at that, both in the clinic and outside.
Yeah, well, I always appreciate a doctor that has that good bedside manner, that understands it, because it's like anything. You have such an opportunity to hone that skill because you're in front of the public in high stress situations, people in pain, different varying emotional states, and that's the hardest. You're dealing with emotional waves. You got to know how to surf, man. So yeah, it's beautiful because when you get to embrace that, that means that you know we've all been there when something terrible is going on, amount of pain, you're not acting yourself, you're an asshole. You're in When you have somebody there who can understand and mitigate, it's such a beautiful experience because it turns into a positive experience and you can help that person. I know you know what I'm saying. So I'm just
I tell you what,
I'm very
man.
grateful to know a doctor that embraces that.
Yeah, like a personal rule of thumb is like I typically first 3 visits I deal with someone. It's just like that's just a buffer. That's just like people come in with pain. When I'm in pain, I'm not very nice either, And it seems it's really funny because sometimes the patients that are the most abrasive, their first 2 visits become like the nicest, easygoing patients. So it's like, again, accept people where they're at. Pain hurts, pain sucks. You don't know what they're dealing with or how long they've been dealing with it. I have patients that have migraines, 10 out of 10 severity migraines for decades, years, every day. If I have a headache, I'm kind of grumpy too, and that's just one. I don't get them often. So it's like, you got to accept people where they're at and see who they can be. But, patience, my friends.
Well said. That might be one of my favorite answers we've ever had.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Now, I suffer from migraines, so I've seen a plethora of doctors and neurologists, and so yeah, I'm very sympathetic to how a doctor can treat you when you're in a distressed state where you won't be nice to people. So
you mentioned where you live. I'm going to get you referred to someone out there. Get you cracked out by a chiropractor, man.
Sweet. Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen somebody. I had a friend who used to live down here who I would see when I would be having some problems. So that's good to hear. I've been looking for. It's hard to find a good chiropractor. It's if you don't know somebody, it's kind of So yeah, thank you.
Gladly.
Zach, what are you most curious about?
So the future, I would say. The past, we already knew what happened, and the present is kind of happening, but I'm really looking forward to see how my kids are as they get older and as they grow up. And I met my stepson Dylan when he was 6, and he's 11 now. Just getting to see him grow, it's probably the coolest thing. And so, like with my daughter, she's starting to smile and actually acknowledge that we're around, which is pretty cool, because it's all good taking care of a potato that needs you all the time. And when that potato actually realizes you're there and smiles at you, it's like, wow, like I dig this. So I look forward to, I'm most curious about seeing her, and we're going to have a few of them. So just seeing, how they grow up and who they become and who they end up with and their kids. I'm really excited about the future.
That's awesome. Love to hear somebody who's looking forward to the aging process and not stuck on their past youth.
Yeah. Yep.
What was the most embarrassing or humbling experience of your life?
Man, this is you guys dig deep with this one. So I've played basketball my entire life, and even though I'm 5'7", pretty somewhat successful in that arena. But my senior year, I did not get like any playing time at all. And so we actually, that year, we had one of our coaches was a former Army drill sergeant. And so for the first month of the season, before we even walked into the gym, it was 3 days a week of conditioning. And so every single day, except for the last day, I don't know why not the last day, but every single day I vomited, I puked, because we were out there hustling. I was like, it's okay. It's going to be worth it. It's going to pay off. And I did not play at all. Like, go in the last minute or two each game. And that, was a pretty devastating thing. And it really tested me, because obviously when you know that everything you put into it's not going to pay off, you might want to quit. And I'm so glad that I didn't, because a lot of growing moments and a lot of good relationships built with my teammates in all of that chaos, the traveling and all the stuff that goes along with it. So it was one of the best experiences, I would say, of my life.
Yeah, I love that. No matter what, even if it's a bad experience, you can always use it as armor. You can always strengthen your hide, build yourself up so that, okay, well, that hurt, but next time I'm going to see it coming and I'm going to deflect it.
That's right, man. Grow through what you go through, right? So if you're as I'm going into the next question, it appears, uh, like, what my greatest fear would be is failing. And, if the only time that failure becomes a problem is when you stop going, you know, if you fail, that means that you're just learning how to do it, how to win better if you just stick with stuff.
Yeah, people that don't make mistakes don't make anything. I think that was a quote that I saw or heard somewhere recently. But I think that, if you don't fail and get up and try again, then I mean, like, you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, Michael Jordan was a big advocate about all that. All the shots that he took and they lost, and the shots that he took and they won. It's a heavy burden, but yeah, man, you fall down 8 times, you get up 9, and that was definitely my biggest fear and my biggest and humbling, embarrassing experience, all rolled into one great learning experience.
Amazing. And it's probably hard now to beat that embarrassment. You've got that feeling, you've dealt with it, so anything else comes along,
That's right, man. It's all perspective, and it's, and as we get older, we realize what really matters and what doesn't, and you let the little things, you just brush them off, and you just, keep your head down and keep doing what you're supposed to be doing, what you should be doing. And, yeah, if you're not failing regularly, then you're really not pushing yourself to your optimal potential.
beautiful. Yeah, not everything's going to work. So, just because you failed doesn't mean that you are a failure. It just means you got to find a different path, a different way, different angle. It's like anything else. It's training. You're not going to lift that huge weight the first time, but you do it enough, you figure out the right technique, you start doing more repetitions, you get better at this. Next thing you know, you got it. Now you can move on to the next task.
100%. Exactly.
What is your great? Oh, we just rolled into that one, didn't we? Your greatest fear. What quality do you most admire in a man, and why?
Guys that do what they say they'll do, and guys that don't do what they say they won't. Guys that make things happen. So when we were young, keep referring back to my dad, and he told us that there's 3 different types of people in life: people that make things happen, people that watch things happen, and people that ask what happened. And so, you can be one of those 3. And in the work setting, as an employee, there are employees that are told to do something and they don't. There are employees that are told to do something and they do. And there's employees that do things without being told. So knowing those 3 categories, you would just assume that the 3rd category, that person would be more successful. And so I have a lot of good guys in my life, some entrepreneurs, and just guys that are loyal to their word, loyal to their family, people that get things done.
I like
Yeah,
that.
that's guys that will do what they say they will do, and don't do what they say they won't do. So pretty much keeping your word, I think, embodies that, and just integrity, I guess, in general would be a nice way to summarize that. Wouldn't you agree?
Definitely. Yep. Yeah. A lot of things in life come and go, and honestly, a man is only as good as his word, in my opinion.
Or his handshake. If you
There you go.
Yeah,
That's
so,
right.
old school.
That's
Alec.
right.
Who were and or are your role models, and why?
Michael Jordan, the best basketball player of all time. I grew up a 90s kid, and I remember I would watch his like highlight reels,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would go outside and practice those moves. and I just glorified that man. I still basically do. I collected his shoes. I play slow pitch softball. I'm always number 23. He's definitely the peak of the mountain to me. So he was like Superman, you know, he could fly, right? And my other role model is definitely my dad, because he was like real life Superman. He couldn't jump at all. So two different types of Superman. He was a short, pudgy white guy like me too. So we had no business playing basketball anyway, but stay far enough away from the hoop and shoot the three, you do all right.
Oh, absolutely loved. Yeah, you've seen the new documentary on Netflix, I assume, on Jordan. I think it's called The Last Dance. It's about the Bulls
Yep.
run. That was, I loved it. It gave you a new perspective on he's a winner.
Yep.
Repetition, practice, has a goal, is going to achieve it, and you're going to either be in his way or be with him.
That's right.
There's consequences to that, but man, inspiring. Going from some kid who can't play basketball to be the best. Why? Because you wanted it, and you tried harder and worked harder than anybody else, and you asked everybody to do the same. That's beautiful.
That's right, man.
It's a thought. It's, it's like he had he lined his virtues up and his goals how he wanted to, and he structured his life, and he achieved it.
And break that down. That's like key to success 101, all that right there. And like you said, man, you were with him, against him, or you're in his way. And, not all of his teammates liked him all the time.
No, but you know what?
Then they started winning.
You knew where he stood.
Right.
He wants to win. He's going to win. That's it. That's Michael Jordan.
Yep.
That is as honest of a human being as you can get.
Yeah, that documentary series was so awesome.
Space Jam was pretty cool too.
Oh, we when we got married, we walked
documentary?
out. Our wedding party walked out to Space Jam.
Oh, nice.
Probably my favorite movie.
Awesome.
What institution of society or structural aspect of modern life would you change given the chance?
Most definitely, hands down, this child trafficking that takes place. It's always taken place, and not even on the global, the global stage, but like I have, patients that I hear stories. I have friends that I hear stories. I see in the news, dads, brothers, cousins, young kids, man. That's, to me, to betray a child is the one unforgivable sin. And it just happens so much, man. And it happens to more people than you would think. More people that that you have no idea, I promise you. It's happened at least once or more than once in their life. And to me, that is absolutely the biggest problem in society, hands down.
Yeah, that's a huge one. Yeah, that one bothers me the most because it's so systemic. It seems like it's in the biggest institutions and religions and governments, and then it gets swept under, and you go, like, it's a side of reality that good people refuse to see, and it's exploited because they couldn't do it. How could somebody else do it? And it lives in that darkness. Yeah,
I couldn't put it better myself, man. That's exactly right. And like you said, in a lot of different institutions from the top to the bottom. And now with me having, a 7-week-old daughter, it's just like that is unforgivable, unallowable. Never had a gun in my life. We have 3 in the house now. So it's there's certain reasons to stand up, and there's certain reasons to defend, and there's certain reasons to go to war, and there's certain reasons to go to prison. And I believe this is one of those reasons.
Defending a being who is unable to defend themselves. Yeah, right. any word that's written down to enforce a law against you for that, it's just letters. That's it. Yeah.
Those
Yeah,
words you just said are like that's my question 13. It's like my first two sentences. So we'll get to that, but this is that's 100% right, man. Defend the defenseless. 'Cause if you don't, I mean, there's guilt in that too.
Oh
You
yeah, it's an
know?
anchor. It's a burden. Yeah. No, there's moments in my life, I'm sure everybody has it, where I flash back to what I didn't do. So selfishly, when I think of things in the future and they come about, I'm thinking about doing the right thing, but I'm also thinking about like, no, I need to do this for so many reasons, for my own mental health. And because in the moment I go, should I do this? Well, hell yeah. Yeah. You're going to feel like shit for the rest of your life if you don't, A, and B, you're contemplating it. So just do it. So yeah,
Yep.
that's a good one.
Yeah, that's an answer to this question that I haven't heard since I've been a part of the project. But I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. And it is such a dark subject that it is really hard to talk about and bring in to the light, because, like you were saying, Adam, like, good people don't want to they don't want to know this stuff. And I think that, you know, there's an old, I think there's a Buddhist quote. I want to say it's a Buddhist saying that three things always come out, and that's the sun, the moon, and the truth. And I think that you know, the truth is just around the corner from where we're standing right now in regards to the future. And so hopefully that's an issue that'll be addressed sooner rather than later.
Here to that one. Wouldn't that be great? What is the most courageous thing you have ever done in your life or you have ever seen?
So I'm a big homebody. I don't like to. I lived in Indianapolis for a year. I was homesick all the time. I love South Bend. I love being here. I love being around my friends and my family. And definitely the most courageous thing I ever did was uh, moving 12 hours away to Atlanta and betting on myself and going to chiropractic school. So how chiropractic school works is it's super easy to get in. Anyone can get in, but the catch is it's a 50% fail out rate. And the opposite applies to medical school. Medical school, it's impossible to get in, but once you're in, unless you choose a different profession, you're not failing out. And so I remember at orientation, they said, "All right, everyone look to your right and look to your left." And at some point, one of those people will not be here anymore. So hopefully, you're not that person. And I was just like, "Well, damn," you know. Um, and it's pretty funny actually, because so I graduated December of 2016, and today I ordered my graduation ring because I just haven't done it yet. And I'm like, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to. So 5 years later, I finally got that bad boy coming in 8 to 10 weeks.
Nice.
Is it
Yeah.
shipping from overseas? 8 to 10 weeks?
I hope not. I didn't check the fine print, but I certainly hope not.
Now, what got you into deciding to be a chiropractor?
So when I was 13, it was Memorial Day weekend, and we were at Lake Wawasee. My family and another close group of friends to the family, and we were on the sandbar, and my dad's buddy Bill threw the football, and so I dove off the boat to catch it, and so I came down on my head, and I felt a snap, and I couldn't move. So I'm underwater, I can't move. My brother's next to me, so he picks me up, and when he picks me up, kind of like, horizontally parallel to the ground, he picks me up and I grab some air, but he thinks I'm just joking around, so he lets me go and I go back down. Can't move. And so my dad realizes I'm not coming back up, so he jumps out of the boat and he's holding me up, above the water, probably for about 45 minutes to an hour. I'm not moving anything. I'm not moving my hands, my feet. I'm bugging out. He's bugging out. And then slowly I start to move my fingers and my toes again. And so that was Memorial Day. So the following Tuesday, I went to see a chiropractor, and I was hooked from that adjustment, from just how I felt walking in to how I felt walking out. I'd been adjusted as a kid before that, but that's when it clicked in my head. And I actually interned with that guy, Don Warren, before I went to chiropractic school. When I graduated, I started off with him, and now he and I are still really good friends. So that was kind of my segue into chiropractic.
Awesome. I hear that from a lot of chiropractors, or at least the few that I know, is that it's personal experience that brings a lot of people into it. It's not like medical school where you're drawn into a career. It's you're drawn into a belief, or maybe not a belief, but a belief in the outcome.
Yeah, for sure. I went to Life University down in Atlanta, and it's the biggest chiropractic school. So we had a lot of international students. And I mean, I had friends from all over the place, and friends that like played D1 football, were going to get drafted, got injured, NFL's gone, saw a chiropractor, became chiropractors. Like, it's just so many different realms of the world, And yeah, you're right, man. More of the belief in that outcome as compared to just a career or your mom or dad was. It's kind of like chiropractic chose me. That's for sure.
Oh, it's a beautiful way to put it. Yeah, my friend Sean's a chiropractor, and he had a number of health problems as a kid, and saw doctor after doctor after doctor, and chiropractor was a last ditch effort, because it wasn't just what you would consider like bone adjustment issues, and he went to see it, and it was the only thing that got him well enough that he could go back into school and become a normal functioning human being after not being able to do that for majority of his his grade school life. So it was beautiful, and I'm like, I don't understand this system, but everybody that's involved seems to have been touched by it. So that's what got me to getting adjusted by him, and I was a believer ever since.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, we see a lot of times, not a lot of times, a decent amount of time where last case scenario where people have tried everything, and it's really cool. I don't heal anyone.
That's dude.
Our bodies heal. I've never ever created scar tissue, or I've never helped. A Band-Aid doesn't fix a cut. I'm not the healer. I'm kind of the middleman, just letting your body do its thing. And a lot of really cool things happen. People that can't get pregnant get pregnant. Headaches go away. Depression, anxiety, seizures. Patients with Down syndrome and autism have better functioning lives, less symptomatology. All types of really cool stuff happens.
The one thing I love about chiropractic that so many other aspects of the medical community don't do, it's a whole system. And just that alone is such an important aspect of it, that when you're willing to consider that you do this here and you can affect that. And yeah, it's I don't know, man, it's a beautiful thing.
Our bodies are pretty cool.
Yeah. No, I like the way you put it, that you're the facilitator of the help. Look, man, I'm not the boat getting you down the river. I'm just the guy taking your quarter.
Exactly, man. That's perfect. I got a buddy that he's a Marine, so he was over in Afghanistan, and he came home, and he and his wife were trying to get pregnant for a decent amount of time. Don't quote me on it, but it was more than a few months. It was, more than a year, I would say. And I adjusted him and his wife, and then they were pregnant within a couple months.
That's so crazy.
And yeah, and then so he has 3 kids, and he and I go shooting.
Oh, so you got his wife pregnant, huh? Oof.
Yeah, exactly. So he and I go shooting, And last time we went shooting, we went back to his place to drink a few beers and play some pool. And I adjusted he and his wife. And about 4 weeks later, I get a call from Matt. And he's like, dude, I'm going to kick your ass. I'm like, what happened? I'm like, what happened? He goes, dude, you did it again. She's pregnant. I was like, well, I'm sorry. You're welcome. And if it's a boy, you should name him Zach.
That's awesome, dude.
Our bodies are pretty cool. If you just get out of the way, stop throwing symptom stoppers and just let the body operate like it's supposed to. Our body's smarter than any doctor of any type of specialty. So it's cool to see the body do really cool things like that.
I love it.
And I think it's just awesome that chiropractic is, like you were saying, a holistic, Adam, a holistic approach, because until I went to your clinic, Zach, I'd never heard a doctor talk about nutrition until I walked in that door. And, I've been going to a general practitioner since, being able to go to a pediatrician or whatever, so from a very young age up until, my early adulthood, nobody's ever talked to me about diet. And I just think that it's something that drew me to keep going back to chiropractic, is because it's so holistic.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Food can be medicine if you eat the right stuff, and it can do the opposite if you don't, and we look at like diabetes and childhood diabetes, and this is the first time ever in American history that kids are not projected to outlive their parents because of obesity and morbidity and stuff like that. And man, you just put gas in the tank and let the car go.
Put the right gas in. Exactly. That's right. And you don't want any sticks and water and sand mixed in there. You don't want to buy that I don't know what you call it, but the no name gas station on the corner selling for like $2 less than everyone else.
Well, when you break it down like that, and compare it to processed food or things like that, it kind of, not to say you don't ever eat that, time and a place, but if you consistently, put in the right stuff over time, and things just get better.
Good analogy. Zach, the last question. What does it mean to be a man in today's world?
So like you mentioned, there's 4 core things that my dad taught my brother and I, and that's you defend the defenseless, you home the homeless, and you look out for widows and orphans. Mm-hmm. So like we talked about how he set my brother and I down and had the, if you need to whoop some ass conversation. And when I was in second grade, I met my now brother, Raphael. His mom was dying of liver cancer. And so she died when we were 9. And he was living in the rough part of South Bend. His dad was in prison, living with family members. And he wanted to move in with us. And so he had the conversation with me like, hey, you think we could ask the parents and see if we could do that? And I was like, of course. And so typically when you ask dad a question, it's always, ask your mom, right? Like that's the go-to answer. And this is distinctively the first time that my dad didn't need to ask my mom. He was just like, no hesitation, like, of course. And so Raph moved in with us. He's lived with us ever since. Now that we're, 30, we all have our own places, but he's always, all holidays, and he's always been with us. And that was something my dad and my mom, they taught us, you give home to the homeless. And when you look out for widows and orphans, you look out for the people that aren't being looked out for.
That's beautiful. If everybody did that, then we'd all be taken care of.
Things might be a little bit better if everyone, and you don't got to be, Gandhi, but if everyone just did their part a little bit more conscientiously, if we're just intentional, being intentional not only makes you more successful, but being intentional can really affect and change people's lives too.
you wanna hold me? How you wanna hold me? Yo, what? How you wanna hold me? How you wanna hold me? Yo, what? How you wanna hold me? How you wanna hold me? Yo, what? How you wanna hold me? How you wanna hold me? Yo, what? How you wanna hold me? How you wanna hold me? Yo, what? How you wanna hold me? How you wanna hold me? Yo,
Why
what?
is one man rich and another man poor? Why we ain't satisfied? Why we gotta have more? Why your suicide rates on the rest so high? Why I tell you the truth but you say don't lie? Why is being a good father at an all-time low? Why is it acceptable? Yo, why? I don't know. Why she blame him and he blame her? It's useless. Ask yourself this question. Why you making excuses? Why do parents gotta bury their kids? Why we text and drive, not caring how scary it is? Why it's so hard to forgive and leave the past behind? And if you did, then that's divine. Why don't you help your brother when you see him fall? Why do we act like God don't see it all? Why do we call them black, them white, them Asians and use labels? Now that's racism.
How you wanna hold me?
Why?
How you wanna hold me? Yo, what? How you wanna hold me?
Why?
How you wanna hold me? Yo, what? How you wanna hold me?
Why?
How you wanna hold me? Yo, what? How you wanna hold me?
Why?
How you wanna hold me? Yo,
Why is
what?
there innocent people locked up for life? While some people can't say nothing nice. Why do we always gotta question what all of it means? And why won't you follow your dreams? Tell me why. The night when you took my dad, why'd you let me see my grandpa cry? And tell me why. And why do you choose to hide, even though you was born to fly? And tell me why. And why don't we turn from all the hate? And why don't we learn from all mistakes? Why do I keep on wrecking these fat beats? And teachers don't make more than professional athletes? And why? And why? And why? And why? And why? And why?
How you wanna hold me?
Why?
How you wanna hold me? Yo, what? How you wanna hold me?
Why?
How you wanna hold me? Yo, what? How you wanna hold me? How you wanna hold me? Yo, what? How you wanna hold me? How you wanna hold me? Yo, what?
This should be considered entertainment and not therapy. We hope you benefit from our resources available at 13questionspodcast.com. Thank you for listening.